Born as Temüjin in 1162, he entered a world of betrayal and survival. The vast steppe offered no mercy, only endless trials of strength and will. His father was poisoned by rivals, leaving the family abandoned. The sudden loss stripped them of protection and cast them into isolation. Hunger and fear shaped his childhood, teaching him that mercy was rare. Every empty night reminded him that weakness could mean death. Even within his family, conflict turned deadly. Brothers who once shared the same fire now raised weapons against each other. Captured and enslaved, he wore a wooden collar. The heavy wood cut into his skin, a constant mark of humiliation. Yet he escaped, carrying scars that would define his rule. Freedom came at a cost, but it hardened him into something unbreakable. Temüjin learned that loyalty could be bought, but fear was stronger. He saw that trust was fragile, while terror bound men more tightly. He forged alliances with cunning, but destroyed those who opposed him. Around the campfires, whispers of betrayal often ended in blood. Step by step, he united scattered tribes under his iron will. What was once chaos slowly bent into a single force. His rise was not only political, but deeply personal. Vengeance fueled him. Every victory was also repayment for the humiliations of his youth. The boy who once starved now commanded warriors who feared his wrath. Their obedience was born not of love, but of dread. He declared himself Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. With that title, he claimed destiny itself as his ally. His name would soon echo like thunder across continents. Even distant kingdoms would tremble at the sound of it. The Mongol horde became an unstoppable storm. Where they rode, the land itself seemed to darken. To his followers, he was chosen by destiny. They believed the heavens had marked him for greatness. To his enemies, he was a shadow of terror. His very presence was enough to break their resolve. The steppe had forged a man who trusted only power. In his world, compassion was weakness, and strength the only law. And power for him meant absolute domination. Nothing less than total control could satisfy his will. Genghis Khan unleashed campaigns that reshaped the world. His armies moved like a tide, sweeping aside kingdoms that had stood for centuries. Cities that resisted were erased from maps. Their names survived only in whispers, carried by terrified survivors. Bukhara, Samarkand, Nishapur, once jewels, reduced to ash. Great domes and palaces crumbled into dust under Mongol fire. His armies diverted rivers to drown entire cities. Nature itself became a weapon, turning streets into watery graves. At Merv, he sat on a throne and watched destruction. The silence of ruin was his chosen spectacle of power. Chroniclers wrote of hundreds of thousands perishing. Their trembling words still echo with horror centuries later. His strategy was not only military, but psychological. Fear traveled faster than his horsemen, breaking enemies before battle began. Resistance meant annihilation. Surrender meant submission. The choice was stark, and both paths led to chains. He used captives as shields, turning lives into tools of war. Human bodies became barriers against arrows and blades. Ancient irrigation systems were destroyed. Fields that once fed nations turned into barren wastelands. Entire regions became wastelands. Villages emptied, leaving only silence and broken tools behind. Cities that once thrived became ghostly ruins. Streets echoed only with wind, not with voices. His warriors perfected the art of terror. Cruelty was no accident, it was a deliberate weapon. Each soldier was tasked with cruelty as routine. Brutality became as common as sharpening a blade. The Mongol horde moved like a storm cloud. Dark and unstoppable, it swallowed horizons whole. From China to Persia, no empire was safe. Walls and armies alike crumbled before his advance. His campaigns caused population declines on a vast scale. Entire generations vanished, leaving gaps in history itself. Cities never recovered, their ruins haunted by silence. Stone and dust became monuments to fear. His brutality was systematic, not random. Every act of violence was part of a larger design. He erased cultures, absorbing survivors. Languages and traditions disappeared into the Mongol tide. The Mongol banner became a symbol of destruction. Its shadow meant submission or death for those who saw it. To resist him was to invite extinction. Defiance was answered with fire and blood. To submit was to live under his iron rule. Survival came at the cost of freedom and pride. His empire grew vast, built on rivers of fear. Terror was the mortar that held his dominion together. Genghis Khan died in 1227, but his shadow endured. Death could not erase the fear his name inspired. His descendants expanded the empire even further. They carried his banner across new frontiers and kingdoms. From the Pacific to Europe, his influence was unmatched. Few rulers in history commanded such a reach. Trade routes flourished under Mongol control. Merchants traveled safely, though under the watch of soldiers. The Silk Road became both commerce and conquest. Every caravan carried goods and the weight of Mongol power. His empire connected worlds, but at a terrible cost. The bridges of trade were built on bones and ashes. Some saw him as a unifier, others as a destroyer. His legacy split opinion as sharply as his sword split nations. His laws, the Yasa, imposed strict order. Obedience was demanded and punishment was swift. Yet behind the order lay memories of devastation. The ruins of cities whispered of the price paid. Generations remembered him not for mercy, but for terror. Stories of his cruelty became warnings for children. His name became a warning, a legend of cruelty. It was spoken with awe, but never without fear. Even today, his legacy divides historians. Some call him a genius, others a monster of history. Was he a genius strategist or the embodiment of destruction? The truth may lie in the uneasy space between the two. Perhaps he was both, a ruler who built on fear. His empire was carved as much from terror as from steel. His legend became eternal. Centuries later, his shadow still lingers over the world. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel and join us for more tales of history's darkest rulers. Your support keeps history's darkest chapters alive on this channel.